And if you listen to their stories, you will never find the truth.
Find the truth.
And if you read what they are writing, you find your neck inside a noose.
Welcome to Extreme Brains, the podcast that embraces the chaos of a world gone wild. I'm David Evanoff, along with my fellow brainers and chaos enthusiasts, Sam Goldstein and James Woods. We are broadcasting to you from the semi-luxurious Evanoff Studios, located on the west side of the over-industrialized haven of South Salt Lake City, Utah. South Salt Lake City, Utah, the only place you can be south and west at the same time. Each week we'll dive headfirst into the absurdities of modern life, sharing sharp critiques, unfiltered humor, and just the right amount of existential dread. Our tagline, 3 voices, 1 mic, in a world gone wild. Welcome back, Brainers. Thank you so much for being with us. Episode number 7. I hope you all got a lot of rest, because this is a very important one. A very important one to me especially, because it's all about sleep, something that is kind of elusive to me. Sam, help me. Tell me about sleep, why we need it, what's going on, why is it there, why is it not there?
I don't think anybody really knows. I think this idea that we sleep, everybody agrees. Oh, we sleep, but why? And what creatures don't sleep? Are there any creatures that don't sleep? What do you think? Do you think an amoeba sleeps? But it doesn't really have a brain, so who knows? But among organisms that have some kind of a brain, even a tiny one like a fruit fly, they evidently go into some kind of a suspended state where it would appear they're sleeping.
What about sharks? Is that a wives' tale? I've always thought that sharks have to keep swimming, so they never sleep.
That's pretty good. We need to have our researcher research that. They right out of the gate, we got a problem here today. Well, I think they may keep moving, but they may be sleeping. Again, I don't know how you measure brainwave activities in a shark, but we'd have to figure out how to do that. But what about other animals? Whales, when they give birth to a new calf, that people or researchers say they don't sleep for weeks to keep watch of the calf, as it were. Certain, again, simple organisms probably don't sleep per se. Jellyfish, some people say they don't completely sleep. Imagine if they did, what would they dream about? Right? What does a jellyfish dream about when it's sleeping?
There's a song or a joke in that.
Right, and we'll come back and talk about dreams here in a minute. But it's a real issue of why do all living species sleep, and what role does sleep play in our lives? And what if we didn't sleep? What would you trade a 40-year lifespan with no sleep and no fatigue for an 80-year lifespan in which you had to spend a third of your life being dead? Because when you sleep, you're as close to dead as you're going to
get until you get there.
Right.
There's severance for you.
Yeah, right.
Yeah. Spend half your day.
So we spend a lot of our time. I think I once told you guys that I was very disappointed once when I figured out that growing up in New York City, from my childhood through my adolescent years, that I spent a full 48 hours, 2 years of my life, riding up and down the elevator. Because I lived on the 20th floor, and I did a little research and counted how long do I wait on average, how long does it take to get down, and how many times do I go up and down in the course of a day and a week and a year. And I figured out it was almost 48 hours in a 15-year span. Or 14-year
that's
span.
why you don't sleep enough.
2 years of my life gone, right? Or two days, excuse me, 2 days of my life. Now think about how we are with sleep. If you're 80 years old and you've slept like a typical person, or let's say you're 75 and you've slept a third of your life, you've only been alive 50 years. 25 years have been stolen from you. And the question is, why? And again, we all take these things for granted. Oh, you have to sleep. It's important to sleep. So, David, how much do you sleep?
5 hours, average.
Even before children?
Even before children, I could sleep through high school. As soon as I got into college, and I seemed to have in my brain, those kind of concerns. Tests, what to do, this rehearsal, this event, this show. Sleep just went away. I fall asleep at 9 o'clock, and I wake up at midnight, and then I'm awake.
So, are you suggesting that stress, the anxiety of thinking of all the things you needed to do, disrupted your sleep habits?
Mm-hmm. I think so.
So do you think our ancestors slept better because they didn't have a lot of things to worry about? Or maybe they
did.
Maybe they did have a lot of things to worry about, but
that
they
bear
were
in
all
the cave.
about survival. Yeah, they were all about
Nocturnal predators.
survival.
Or maybe just physically, they were so exhausted that sleep came easier to them.
Oh.
Because they were constantly moving and up and foraging and hunting, maybe.
So maybe we should start like a retreat program where we keep, from the time people get up till the time they go to bed, they have to keep moving.
You gotta go.
We make them do hard things all day long. I wonder
It would
if
probably
anyone-
work.
Yeah, I wonder if anybody's done any sleep studies of soldiers. Like, what's the sleep like of boot camp soldiers
Oh, yeah.
when they're run all day long? Do they sleep better at night, or they not be able to sleep? Sometimes when you're so tired, you can't fall asleep.
That's true.
Right? You're overtired. How about you, James? How often do you sleep?
I would say five or six if I'm lucky. 6 would be a stretch, but yeah, generally 5 is my.
Always has been like that. Even when you were a dopey rock and roller.
Yeah. I love mornings, so I love waking up with the day. Everything's more quiet, and I also love. That's the problem. I wake up early, but I'm also a night owl.
So you go to bed late and wake up early.
I go to bed late. I like the decompressing of the end of the day, and I know nobody's going to be calling me, and my family's asleep. I don't have to.
Except for me, if I get an idea at 10
Yeah,
o'clock,
he'll still.
I
he'll
call
still-
him.
he'll call.
Yeah, I don't care.
You're the only number I let break through the.
Oh, yeah, I appreciate that.
Oh, breaking news. Scientists think that sharks don't sleep for periods longer than 10 minutes.
Okay, so see, they do sleep. Power, those are called power
power
naps.
naps. Yeah, that's
And I always thought, what the heck is a power nap?
like a little shark nap.
What
They
does
gotta
that mean, a power nap? It's an Arnold Schwarzenegger kind of nap. I don't know what exactly does that mean. I am now probably sleep 7 or 8 hours. As a teenager, you could sleep forever, which again is hard to understand exactly what is that. Are you trying to catch up on all the sleep you missed? Is that you need more sleep for your brain to develop, whatever the case may be. But, about 10 o'clock, we're watching TV, and I start nodding off, and Sherry pokes me, and we kind of nod off in tandem so that we can tell each other which part of the show we missed, right?
Do you have a
missed the part
regular
of the show.
bedtime, either of you? Or a standard time that you go in?
We get into bed about 9 o'clock after the baby's been put down somewhere around 8, depending on what time she falls asleep. Then we get into bed and either we read or we watch a movie. But just like you said, I'll fall asleep as soon as the movie starts. I get the nod.
Right.
Hey, wake up. You missed it.
And we routinely say, young children need more sleep, right? And everybody just buys into that. Oh, yeah, young children need more sleep.
And babies.
Because their brains are developing and they need... Right, but in that period of time, their brains are also supercharged, 150% of metabolism under age 4, and they're learning a lot of things in one day, much more than you and I learn in a day, from language to the world around them. So you would think that maybe they need more time to be awake. That maybe babies should sleep 4 hours. And as we get older, because we're boring and we're learning less and have less to do, we should sleep more. But it works the other way around. And some people say, babies need that sleep to consolidate memory You listen to your daughter in the crib at night, and she's talking to herself and talking about the day and all the words she's learned. And maybe they need that kind of experience to consolidate their memory. And sleep helps you put the memory to rest, as it were. Some studies suggest that if you study right before you go to sleep, you retain more than if you study and then go out and party.
I've heard that.
Yeah.
Right? But going out and partying probably disrupts whatever you studied, so maybe it's not the sleep that does it, but...
Babies need to sleep so parents don't go crazy.
Get a tiny break, yeah. Yeah, maybe that's where the evolutionary help is. Yeah.
But some babies don't sleep.
Yeah.
Some babies have a very difficult time sleeping, but we've bought into the idea that we need sleep. We've accepted the fact that the younger you are, the more sleep you need. We've accepted, maybe the way we accepted the folklore about the COVID virus, we've accepted that if you don't get enough sleep, bad things will happen to you, like you'll die early, you'll get Alzheimer's, whatever the case may be. We know from studies that keep people awake that if you are deprived sleep, you become a little psychotic, which is a reversible process once you do sleep. But go back to the beginning. Why sleep? And how much of the evolution of who we are as a species was built not because we needed to sleep, but because we hid out in caves at night because it was dark. And everybody's afraid of the dark. And David, your horror films are all in the dark.
They absolutely are.
Right?
Yeah.
The couple runs out of the house and look around and it's dark. And they say, quick, let's run in that dark barn for safety.
Yeah.
They don't go, let's go run under the street light that's
behind
over
the
there.
chainsaws.
No, let's.
Yeah.
Right. So darkness is associated with bad,
Fear.
evil. What was the movie that just aired with The Rock? Didn't he play the dark Adam?
Oh, yeah, he was Black Adam.
Black Adam,
yeah.
right? The dark Adam. Yeah, so, and black, the color black is associated with evil stuff. I like black. I wear black, but I'm not evil. But again, this whole idea of why do we sleep? And did we sleep because there was a need, or did the need arise because we slept? And I don't think anybody knows. The idea is that I think hiding out at night started in our earliest ancestors because you were safe. So now, it's a 1.5 million years ago, or 2 million years ago, and Homo sapiens are only 400,000 or 500,000 years. Eve, the mother of us all from Africa. But imagine it's a pre-hominid species, one of those early kind of, is it an ape or is it a man kind of species? And we know that at night there are bad animals, and so we find a cave and we light a fire and we eat whatever we've gathered, and now we're just all sitting around, and it's going to be dark for a while, and we're thinking, what the hell are we going to do now? And one guy just kind of begins to nod off, and everybody goes, wow, what a good idea. Let's just close our eyes and nod off and rest. I don't know that we really know how it's a chicken or the egg, how it started. But we do know it was a way to escape the evils of the dark. We do know, given what happens when you don't sleep, that being able to sleep somehow resets your brain. But it's one of those variables that's difficult, if not impossible, to evaluate. So you've got your little your watch,
Yep,
right? That tells you, tracks.
I track my sleep.
And REM, this idea of REM sleep, we can come back and talk about REM sleep, but which is supposedly the only really restorative sleep. And imagine if you could wake up in the morning and look at your watch and it would say, you didn't get enough sleep, you need 2 more hours. I don't know how it would know.
It does tell me that sometimes. It'll give me kind of a score and say, hey, your sleep score is 70. you should probably try to work on that.
Yeah, bump that up.
Yeah, it doesn't tell you to go right back to sleep.
No, it doesn't tell me to go. No,
It doesn't tell you what to do, and it
I
doesn't
wouldn't
tell you
listen.
how to do it.
I wouldn't listen anyway.
Right.
But
But imagine, given what AI is doing, and Musk with his things he's planting in your head, ostensibly to stop seizures, but it could somehow track your sleep, and you'd wake up in the morning and like that movie, what is it, About Time, with Justin Timberlake, where it would show you when you slept how much time you got for the day, and when you ran out of time, you're out, right? So you better get enough sleep. But that kind of a device, maybe when you woke up in the morning, you would look at it, or maybe if there was a red beam across your head that showed how recharged you were, and it would say you're not recharged enough. But you could say, okay, recharge me more, like that Our Man Flint movie where the secret agent had a watch. Could date ourselves, these old movies, right? James Coburn, and the watch had a little thing that would come out, a little stick, and it would toggle along your wrist, and it would wake him up. And when he needed to go to sleep, he would just push the thing how long he wanted to sleep, and it would click, and he'd go to sleep, right? Because this is a very, when you think about the number of cruel jokes our bodies play on us, this whole thing with sleep really is a cruel joke, because you don't know how much you really need. You don't know when you've gotten enough. Really, sometimes you sleep too much, you feel tired. You don't know what's going to happen when you don't get enough sleep. You know, it's like, it's not one of those things where, you know, if you don't treat this pneumonia, it's going to kill you. You don't really know, and so there's this big gray area where we as a society say you need sleep, you better get 7 or 8 hours sleep based on very loosely structured cause and effect studies that say, oh, when you get 7 or 8 hours sleep, you have less illnesses, your brain functions better, you do better in school, whatever the case may be. You age
better.
Yeah, you age better, whatever the case may be, except that when, you know, David isn't sleeping, and he's aging pretty well. So that's not holding.
Genetics.
Yeah, that isn't holding water for us. Then genetics, right? Mm-hmm. And
do some people actually need more sleep or need less?
Yeah.
Well, and does the brain heal itself when you sleep?
They say it does.
Well, and that's the thing they say.
They say.
Yeah, they say.
They say a lot of
right.
things.
But how do you know? And the idea that, you know, because you always hear of people, lung cancer. I've smoking these cigarettes till I was 90, and I was okay. You know. And then you see other people who say, yeah, I don't sleep 2-3 hours. How you doing? I'm fine. I'm okay. And so we not only, it's another cruel joke. What's normal? How much do you need? And again, even in the media or in entertainment, how do we portray not having enough sleep? And it's always portrayed as making you irritable or angry or bad or frazzled.
Exhausted, not able to focus.
Not making good decisions.
Yeah. Hence the sleep industry.
Hence the sleep industry.
Selling mattresses and
But again, I think it's a
oh yeah, boy, that's big now.
It's a cause and effect. Is it our brains evolved this way because we took these timeouts and like those people in the cave just laid there, didn't move, and the brain said, well, this might be a good time to just recharge. Close your eyes, and I'm going to switch the brain from its waking state to its sleeping state, which a lot of people have trouble doing. Right? Mm-hmm. So when you think about sleep problems, some people have sleep onset. They don't fall asleep. Some people fall asleep really easily, but they wake, and they can't go back to sleep. Right? Some people just sleep 2 hours, wake up, lay there, fall asleep, sleep 2 hours. It's somewhat of a habit. If I wake pretty early, I think I woke pretty early this morning, but it was dark still, and the dogs were still sleeping, everybody was sleeping, so I just laid in the bed. And maybe I went back to sleep, or maybe I didn't. I don't know. I just keep my eyes closed and I think about stuff. Mm-hmm. And that's what I'm doing. But I don't get out of bed. Now, some people will say, I'm up, I'm getting out of bed.
Yeah.
But I'm a little too rigid for that. Nope, the alarm hasn't gone off. I can't get out of bed yet. I don't get
Has
out
it
of bed.
always been
till
that way
alarm.
for you? I mean, in
Yes.
your whole professional life?
Well, my whole personal life.
Yeah, but I mean, you had your youth and your adolescence. Then once you became college and then off into your, super brain world, were you able to get 6, 7 hours, 8 hours?
Oh, when I was before I had kids, in my 20s, yeah, we would, because I was doing music.
Yeah.
So sometimes we wouldn't go to bed till 1 or 2 in the morning. But then I sleep till noon.
But you were not only you were studying and getting degrees, and
I'd still sleep till noon.
you still could. Wow.
Yeah, I mean, yeah,
Bravo.
and I wasn't making a formal living with music, so I played Friday and Saturdays. Pretty rare. I played Thursdays sometimes, but pretty rare. I don't know about you, James, or you, David, but you, David, you play more mainstream kinds of things where there may be something on a Tuesday but the bars in the show scene, it's Friday, Saturday, maybe Thursday, maybe Sunday, but it wasn't.
Yeah,
so.
when I toured with the band, we'd play on weird nights.
Yeah, but
generally just for a bartender and a few staff.
But you're making a living. I mean, there it's your job, and this
Right.
Music is never.
I don't know
been
about
my
making
job.
a living, but we were doing it.
Right. That's right. Well, so what have we concluded? We don't know why we sleep. We don't know how much sleep we need. We don't know what not enough sleep really does to us. We don't understand why our species evolved needing sleep. But we do know that all species sleep, and therefore, long before Homo sapiens ever came about, this is not the God discussion, this is the evolution discussion, animals were sleeping. So we had no choice. We as a species evolving from rats or other earlier species, we were locked in. By the time human-like figures came along, Homo sapiens or Homo erectus or whatever, sleep was part of the physiology and the function of the brain. So it isn't as if we're the only ones to sleep and other species never sleep. We were locked in from the beginning.
Let's take a little break. This is a good time. I might take a nap. And
Power
when
nap.
we come back, we will talk more about sleep and the brain. Now enjoy a cut from the available on all your streaming services album by the band Sigmund Freud.
Turn around and I'll be there. Every breath of open air. When the shadows fall and hope seems thin, I'll be the light that draws you in. I'll be there. I'll be there. I'll be there. I'll be there. When silence wraps the world in night, our dreams slip out of sight. Just call my name, feel my care. Turn around and I'll be there. I'll be there. I'll be there. I'll be there. Every tear, every smile, across each step, across each mile. No matter where, no matter when, by your side again and again.
Welcome back, Brainers. Thanks for being with us. We're talking about sleep. I hope you all got enough tonight. Sam, help us out.
Well, during the break, I telepathically visited two of my favorite heroes, Charles Darwin and Sigmund Freud. And you can actually do that, you know. Yeah, you get on ChatGPT.
Don't have the number yet.
No, you get on ChatGPT and you say, I'm asking this question, answer the question as if you were Charles Darwin. Or answer the question as if you were Sigmund Freud. And it draws from the knowledge base of that person and answers your question.
Bravo.
And actually, a textbook that I'm working on, a textbook on human instincts, I still don't have somebody to write the foreword. It's a pretty heavy science book on instincts, from sex to sleep to everything. And
Ask one of them to write it.
so I I went in and I gave it the outline and the kind of table of contents. And I said, I'd like you to write a 2,000-word foreword as if you are Charles Darwin discussing this book and its valuable addition to the field, etc. It was wonderfully done. It could have been Darwin.
Brilliant.
It talks about how he found this and discovered this and what instincts mean to him. And I mean, I'm still not sure I'm not going to use it, but I'd have to convince the publisher. The front of the book would say, with a foreword by the long dead Charles Darwin, or it would say with a foreword by AI Charles Darwin. And it's going to have to say something. I like the idea of the long dead Charles Darwin. Right? So during the break, I went and I asked Darwin, and then I asked Freud. Now, Freud, of course, has to invoke something psychodynamic, something. And Freud's explanation was, well, you're not bound by reality when you sleep. And sleep is a time when you escape reality, hence you you dream. And there's all these thoughts that your dreams actually mean something. They can predict something. We had a discussion about our repetitive dreams, do you remember, a while ago?
Yeah, sure.
And we did think they had some general meaning, not anything very specific, not anything that would educate us or lead us to live our lives better, per se, right? But Freud thought that when you sleep, it's a chance for you to escape to another world, not bound by reality. You can express your fears, you can express your hopes, you can think about things that you couldn't otherwise think about when you're awake because you're constrained by the reality and the physics of the universe, right? So that was Freud. Darwin, on the other hand, thought that sleep may be a way of consolidating your experiences in such a way that your brain doesn't become too full. Because we've discussed this in the past as well, that you and I and a 10-year-old and a 90-year-old have generally similar memories, assuming none of us have a dementing illness, similar memories of the previous week, month, maybe a few months. But as we get out a few years, we compress those memories like a zip drive. And we talked about my experiment with pictures, being able to look at pictures on a continuous basis during the course of your day, incidentally, as a way of reminding yourself and unpacking those memories and then packing them back up again so they're stronger, perhaps. So there's the two, Freud and Darwin. Can you imagine going to dinner with him? It'd be an interesting.
Let's set that up.
Instead of my afternoon with Bernie, it would be my evening with Charlie and Sigmund. Oh, that would be good. I think it would make for an interesting one-act play, right? A one-act play in which, for some reason, Darwin and Freud, right, and Elon Musk.
There you go.
Right, and Donald Trump.
Let's throw some artists into that. Picasso, somebody with another leaning, a different set of thoughts. Picasso,
or the realist with the melting clock.
Oh yeah, Dali. Yeah, that would be fun. Yeah,
right. And it would be interesting endeavor. Maybe I'm going to work on it.
There you go. There's another AI play to write.
And maybe
I've got to have to write it. I don't know that AI could write it.
But maybe it could give
me background.
Yeah. Fun. Anyway.
Yeah, and I could see, Trump telling Freud, that he's wrong. That
wrong.
The brain really has, 4 parts and not 3 and not anyway. Okay. So dreaming. So do you guys dream?
Yes,
I do.
And it's frustrating because it's always right before I wake up at 1 a.m.
Yeah.
I'm in that awesome dream, and then
well, isn't that when dreams happen is in REM state, which is usually right before you wake up?
Right.
There you go.
Right, the deepest stage sleep. But if REM sleep is associated with resting sleep, and again, we're told a lot of things, and where the line is drawn between, this is actually proven, and this is somebody's idea, and part of what happens with stuff like this is somebody writes an article about it, somebody cites that article, somebody else cites the other article, and by the fourth citation, it's cited like fact. Well, Goldstein said,
Right.
no, Goldstein just thought maybe it's a possibility. But then the next two guys made it sound like that's what Goldstein said.
And REM isn't the deepest sleep, right? REM is just before you wake up, right?
I thought REM is when you're in stage 4 sleep. You can look it up and make sure we're not wrong. But I think REM only occurs in stage 4 sleep. So if you're only sleeping in 1, 2, and 3 stages, you never get to a REM sleep. You know, the other idea about sleep is, you know, our bodies, again, this is a complex evolutionary phenomena that were set in motion long before there were people, when there were other species, even dinosaurs, even before dinosaurs. We have a kind of circadian rhythm. Right? They use the term circadian, circling. And there are certain times of the day when we're more awake, other times when we're more likely to be fatigued, even regardless of our sleep. And so one of the theories is that sleep is a way of kind of rebalancing your circadian rhythm or your biological rhythm. And so the machine runs better. What did you find out?
Non-REM sleep is stage 3, and that's the deepest stage.
And what is REM sleep?
REM is, I think
Because what I learned is we sleep in stages. There's some debate about 3 or 4, but that 3 or 4 is the deepest sleep. So kids who wet the bed, for example, we'll change the subject slightly. It's a sleep-related problem. At age 5, about 20% of kids wet the bed a couple of times a week. At age 10, it's 2%. So there's a spontaneous recovery over that period of time. Some children who wet the bed, it's a small bladder, and they just can't hold enough liquid, and they have to learn how to wake up and go to the bathroom, right? But for the majority, it's a hormone problem. And when they come out of a deeper stage of sleep into a less deep sleep, the brain releases a hormone that tells the bladder to void, regardless of how much liquid's in the bladder.
Maybe they're dreaming of a toilet.
And did you ever? Sometimes I dream of going to the bathroom. Fortunately, when I wake up, I
You're
haven't
not
gone
in a closet.
But I'm not. But I realize I need to go.
Yeah, if you dream that, you should wake up fast.
Right. And so the brain releases this hormone when you go from a deeper to a lighter stage of sleep. And there's a medicine that was initially called DDAVP. Now they branded it. It was a spray, a nasal spray to start, and now it's a pill. And it's a hormone that when the brain releases the hormone to tell the bladder to void, it blocks it.
Wow.
Yeah, and it works very, very well for kids. We think about 80% of kids who wet the bed beyond, say, 5 or 4 or 5, it's a sleep problem and not a small bladder problem. And if you're listening out there and you have children and you want to experiment, first thing, don't have your child hold it as long as they can every day, because the bladder is a muscle and it will just distend it and it'll cause more problems. But but it's okay to do it one day. So for one day, the kid gets up on a Saturday. You have him void, which is the technical term of take a pee, and then you pay him $1 an hour for every hour he doesn't go to the bathroom. And you have him urinate into a measuring cup. And at 7 or 8, my training is he should hold between 6 and 8 ounces of liquid. If he can't, there's no way he can sleep through the night. He's going to have to learn to wake up. Sometimes the bell and pad is good because as you start wetting, it closes the circuit, the alarm goes off, wakes you up, and you get in the habit of waking up as you start to or need to go to the bathroom. Right? So what did you find? When is REM sleep?
REM sleep is stage 4.
Yeah, see? I was right. Thank you very much.
Absolutely.
Proven right again.
Stage 4.
I'm not always right, but I like to think that
I also
When I
Googled
make
that.
stuff up, it's amazing that I'm right.
I also Googled, is Sam right? And it says yes.
yeah, there you go.
So,
But I knew there was
yeah, there are 4
Yeah,
stages.
so-
Wake, N1, N2, N3, and then REM.
which is 4.
Yeah.
And what's interesting when some doctors will tell parents to wake their child to take them to the bathroom. So I will have parents check. Most kids who wet don't wet in the early morning. And there are some kids whose bladders are small or who just don't want to get out of bed and they wet the bed. But for most kids who wet the bed, they wet the bed as they come out of their first stage of sleep. And the first stage of sleep, 1, 2, 3, 4, and then you come back down, because we all wake during the night a couple of times usually, unless you're drugged, is about 2 hours. And every other stage is about 90 minutes. So parents will say, he's been sleeping an hour and a half. I try and wake him up, and I can't wake him up because he's in his deepest stage of sleep. It leads the parents to believe that the bedwetting is the result of sleeping too deeply. But it's not really. It isn't. That we know it's not. And it's a good thing that the only adversity that's associated with sleep is wetting the bed, not defecating. Those kids who soil during the night, they're either immature, they don't know how to control it, or they have some mental health problem and they're soiling their pants. But that's the only adverse product of sleep I can think of is wetting the bed. It doesn't make you any less handsome. Your hair doesn't grow more when you're sleeping than any other time. Or the sleep seems to be needed almost exclusively for the brain. Right?
But like James suggested, there's some thought that it helps with how you look.
Yeah,
Clearly,
yeah.
we go, oh, you look tired.
Right.
I should, by all rights, look tired all the time.
Most parents are.
Right.
Just tired.
Yeah.
Right. That's right. But, the emerging theory that one could push, if one wanted to push it, is that, evolution's always about some adaptation that enhances survival. So it may have been that early on, some of our ancient ancestors slept, some didn't, or slept very little. But those who got more sleep maybe tended to problem solve better during the day, or think better, or remember better. As far as I'm aware, no one's done the kind of research that big data AI is going to be able to do, which is to ask the question, is there any association of IQ with sleep? Right? So at some point, I take a group of 10,000 children, and I put a chip in each of them, and I'll pay their parents to do it, and their parents will do it like you chip your dog. We chip the kid, and the chip is a very complex chip, and the chip can track everything. It can track the kid's blood pressure and heart rate and hours of stage 1, 2, 3, 4 sleep. It can track levels of cortisol. It can track all of these biomes, which is what we're looking at now, your biome. And then we can begin associating it with other variables. So we can say, measure the reading abilities of these 10,000 kids and tell me if any of these hundreds of biome variables have any significant relationship. It could be just random. There are more physicians have traffic accidents in communities where there are more traffic lights per square mile. It's true. But it doesn't mean anything. Yeah. Right. It's just, there's all these, if you have nothing else to do, and you could do that, it'll be entertaining for our last segment, it's just Google, random seemingly cause and effect relationships that aren't cause and effect. And there's all of these strange relationships that, more of this when that, but it's not cause and effect. It's just a random correlation. But imagine what we would learn. We could finally answer the question because we would know in these 10,000 children how many hours they each slept. We need a big sample, like 10,000. And we would know what their IQ was and what their reading level was and what their behavior was like and if they were more likely to develop ADD or any of those things, right?
Yeah.
And so I guess before we take a break, what would you think? So let's hypothetically put out the experiment. We've now collected data on the biomes of 10,000 kids from the moment of their birth until they're 18. And because it's big data, we have a computer that is, the size of a house, but it's because it's a super computer.
Yep.
It takes 150,000 pounds of dry ice to keep it cool,
Yeah.
right? It's like that in that James Bond movie where they were keeping all of these computer chips cool underwater in this ice bath, and he had to dive in there and go get it out. And anyway, but supposing we have this data now, every data point you can imagine, from how much sleep, how many calories you consumed, to any biological variable, how your liver's working, any biological variable. What do you think it'll tell us? What will it correlate with? Will it be able to tell us the optimal environment for raising children? I don't know if you guys are familiar with Walden 2, which is B.F. Skinner's book. B.F. Skinner was the original behaviorist. Skinner wrote a book about basically a kibbutz in which children were raised by a community, not by parents, hence the Skinner box, and children were put in this box where they slept and they learned and they pushed levers and whatever. It's kind of a Skinnerian view of the world. Skinner had a sense of humor, but and he's long since dead. But what would it correlate?
Joke's on him.
Joke's on him. But wait, but what would it correlate with? What do you think if we found kids who were smarter, more mentally stable, more intellectually advanced? Again, genetics plays a role, but complex human behavior requires a push from the environment, certain environmental variables. Here, we're not measuring the environmental variables, although we could. We're just measuring the variables within the child. What do you think the optimal variables would be to predict a kid who was healthy and functioning and life was going well for that kid? The optimal outcome for a kid, would it be 8 hours of sleep? Would it be 6 hours of sleep? Would it be low cortisol levels? Would it be a heart rate that stays within a certain period? I mean, just imagine if we could collect that kind of data. Then we could actually answer the question. When a parent says, how much time should my kid sleep? We could say, well, all other variables held constant, here's how much. But can I compensate if he sleeps less? Oh, yeah, you can compensate by having him do more aerobic activity. Or we'll discover that there are the yin and yang of variables that kind of make that difference. Someday, I think we're going to be able to know all of that. But again, think about how important sleep is in our lives. It's an industry. And again, consider how little we really know about it, how we are a prisoner of it. If we don't get enough of it, we feel guilty, or other people make us feel guilty, or we superstitiously draw cause and effect. That's why I keep getting colds. I'm not sleeping enough. Mm-hmm. That kind of a thing. We do that all the time. And yet we really don't know. And again, there are lots of theories, but no single answer. And, part of, I think, our job on this podcast is to make people think about stuff that they take for granted. We should start thinking about sleep. And if there are researchers who are going to research it, we should tell them, you need to tell us. Because going to bed, sleeping, is the number one problem parents have with their kids.
Wow.
So why don't we do an experiment? And we'll leave you. We'll stop with this. I'm going to do an experiment. Anybody want to volunteer their kids for this experiment? And the experiment is, don't put your kids to bed. Whenever they want to go to sleep, let them go to sleep. If they fall asleep on the floor, let them sleep on the floor. Just let them regulate their own sleep schedule, and let's see what happens.
Mom and Dad, go crazy.
Okay, yeah, have fun.
Maybe.
Yeah, that's what happens.
But you know the saying, mental illness is inherited. We get it from our children.
With that, let's take a little break. We could use one. Enjoy this from the band Sigmund Freud.
I'm up for work so early that from that everlasting dream of you. And now I'm running late. I barely went to sleep. I gotta fly. It's time to punch that clock, so I'll call you at first break. It's hard to get anything done with the smile that's on my face. I think I'm leaving early, 'cause I can hardly wait. I gotta fly. I gotta fly. I pick you up and I don't care where we go. Climb into my front seat through the window. We'll go down that highway and we'll fly. Oh, and we'll fly.
Welcome back, Brainers. Thanks for enjoying a little music from the band Sigmund Freud, available on all streaming services. Download it. Enjoy it for free. Buy it. But please give it a listen. I may say it's exceptional.
And
anyway,
share it with your friends.
share it. Sleep. Tell us more. What do we do?
Well, right. What do we do?
What do we
this
do
is the
about
segment
it?
where we ask, would we be better off if we were canines?
I'm going to say yes in this case, right?
Animals,
The way-
but isn't it interesting how much animals sleep?
Yeah.
Like lions sleep almost all the time except when they're hunting, right? It's a way to conserve energy. So there may be, again, I think we are blessed with the need to sleep through no devices of our own. That as a human or hominid species, we really didn't have anything to do with how sleep evolved and developed. By the time we evolved, the role of sleep was already pretty well set.
Yep. Baked
Right?
in.
And I don't think baked in, correct. And I don't think we sleep any different than any other species, although a lot of species, when they have nothing else to do, sleep. So you look at our dogs, and the dogs are, if we're not around or we're not home, or if I pulled up a camera from my house right now, you'd see the three dogs doing what? Sleeping. Unless somebody comes by, they run out and bark and come back in, but they're sleeping. But is that simply a consequence of boredom? Meaning they sleep because there's nothing else to do. One of our three dogs loves television, Daisy, and she doesn't like aggression and conflict. So if there's any fighting or any,
So
immediately-
mostly comedy shows.
comedy shows. And dog, Sherry thinks she likes dog shows, but she will sit and we'll watch her when she watches. We've been watching this dumb series on the murder in the White House. Have you seen that one? It's been out on Netflix now. So somebody's murdered during a state dinner in the White House.
Oh, wow.
And there's this detective, a woman, African-American woman, who's dressed a little bit better than what's his name, the shabby detective who used to
Columbo.
but she's kind of like a Columbo, right? Nobody knows what she's doing, only her. I don't know what this is. I think the series is called The Residence.
The Residents.
The Residence, right? And Daisy likes that show, right? And there's very little fighting. It's mostly walking around and talking, and it's very slow, but it's kind of entertaining.
You should check the cameras now. Maybe she's catching up on.
Well, the TV's not on.
Kidding.
Sherry will leave the TV on for her, to watch. The other two could care less, But she'll sit and watch, and I'll watch her sometimes watching the TV. And as things happen, the only sign I know she's processing, her ears will go up, down, up, down. The level of her ears kind of keeps moving every time something happens, and she's clear. I don't know what she's thinking about it, but so I guess if the TV is on, the other two will sleep, but she'll watch television. So she'll sit there and watch. Sherry likes to put the Westminster dog show on. Yeah, I think it just agitates them because they get barking at the television. And
There's actually a channel, Dog TV.
Oh, yeah.
On
four dogs, right?
Yeah, 4 dogs.
Yeah, all over YouTube.
Four dogs.
Yeah, it's on YouTube. It's on DirecTV.
So you were asking about cortisol.
Yeah. I see it. It's spoken of constantly on advertisements and TikTok. Everybody's telling me I either have too high of a level, it's ill affecting my sleep, or it's a...
This is late at night.
Yeah, of course, of course.
So
What is it?
If we take a slight side trip here. A while ago, some researchers discovered that people who are depressed run very high levels of cortisol. Now, it would be unfair to say high cortisol levels cause depression. Could be depression causes high cortisol.
And cortisol is a hormone?
Hormone.
Oh,
right.
okay.
I believe it's a hormone.
I do.
Yeah. Okay. And it plays a lot of roles in our body, right? But just for the moment, this one role in which high cortisol is associated with depression. So in order to test for it, they created a chemical called dexamethasone. Dexamethasone causes cortisol to clear from the bloodstream. But if you have a lot of cortisol, the amount of dexamethasone that we inject and then measure cortisol in your blood, it's not enough. It won't be able to get rid of it all if it's excessive. So it was called the dexamethasone suppression test. And for a period of time, I want to say in the 90s, the thought was that that would be the physical measure of depression. Not just how you feel or what you report or how much Haagen-Dazs you eat or sleep. And again, people sleep when they're depressed, right? But
Yeah.
to escape. But this marker. The first thing we figured out is it doesn't really work in kids very well. And the second thing was, what do you do about someone who has high cortisol, they're not suppressing cortisol, and tells you, I'm not depressed, of which there were people. So you can't really use it as a litmus test for depression because you get false positives and false negatives at, I think, a fairly high rate is what my understanding was. So now we switch gears. Cortisol is associated with a hormone that's released in the presence of stress that causes you to be alert. If you're certain animals, it causes you to urinate and defecate, clear all that crap out of your system, and get ready to run. Right? And the amount of cortisol in your bloodstream does, from what I understand, vary during the course of the day. It is highest in the morning when you get up because you have to get going, and it's lower in the evening. I'm not familiar with tests that have studies that have looked at that in one person over multiple days. Because to do that, you have to put in a PICC line, which can constantly draw blood, and then multiple times a day you draw a little blood and test it. And not a lot of people volunteer for that. And I don't. Maybe there's literature that looks at resting cortisol and how much it varies in people, but as a marker, it hasn't held up to tell us much about illness. Right. So,
But stress can increase it.
stress increases it. Risk, danger, any adversity to the human body is why it's there in the first place. So, people who have shift work have trouble with cortisol. But to say that that people who have trouble sleeping, it's because of their cortisol levels, is an interesting hypothesis, but I think an unproven theory. I don't think we can say that for sure, right? And I don't know enough about it, but if dexamethasone suppresses cortisol and you're not sleeping or you're stressed, or why not just take a shot of dexamethasone
Why don't we have that pill?
and clear the cortisol out of your system? They say poor diet or changes in blood sugar level can contribute to it. But then when we get to what to do, which is the third part today, when we're not dogs, and we've talked about, when brains get broken, when brains don't work right, when brains get tired, we don't really have a lot to do. I mean, again, think about the shows we've had, and for those of you that are listening, want to know the season ends next episode, and the working title is Your Brain on Sex. So we might even have a guest, who some kind of a sex person to come in and tell us about sex.
Sex
A sexpert to come in and say, what was that woman's name? That little doctor,
Dr. Ruth.
Ruth.
Yeah.
I wonder if we could get Dr. Ruth. Is she still alive?
Let's get her on AI.
Let's see if we could get
Yeah.
Dr.
Dr.
Ruth.
Ruth would say.
Yeah, what would Dr. Ruth say? And maybe we'll start the next session by posing a whole lot of questions and say, what would Dr. Ruth say? Is she still alive?
No, she died last year.
Okay, so we can't get in trouble.
That's right.
If we say, well, what would Dr. Ruth say?
She was 96.
Oh, she was a hot one. Yeah, she. Anyway, so why am I rambling here? Because for an organ that's so important to our survival, we were even figuring out how I can give you an artificial heart, grow a pig's heart and give it to you, or grow a heart in a pig and give it to you, or prostheses for your arms or your legs, or pretty much anything. Lungs we haven't quite figured out, but we can still replace part of your lungs. So you look at all of that, and then you say, well, what have we done for the brain? And our first show next season will be on the brain 2095. Because think about how much change we've made in such a short period of time in terms of what we know and how we answer questions, even the AI stuff to where we can ask AI these questions and AI will answer us. But when it comes to the brain, think about it. Mental health problems, what have we got? Talk therapy, a change in your environment. If you're in a bad environment, get out. And some medications that work like a helicopter filled with water flying over a burning city, just dropping the water and hoping it lands in the right place. Because the medicines we take don't target one spot in the brain or another. They go to your whole brain, which is why you get side effects. You get a lot of problems, right? And now there are some theories. There's something called TMS for depression, which uses electromagnets to try and change how your brain cells are communicating. There's ECT, electroconvulsive therapy, which scrambles your brain and may make you less depressed, but almost always leaves you with memory or concentration problems at the expense of that.
Now we've got the ketamine.
And ketamine also. I just saw a woman this morning who's had a history of, I think she's had autism all her life and didn't know it, but eventually she just got overwhelmed and hasn't been able to work, and nothing works. None of the traditional medicines that we use are working for her. Now the doctors are thinking of trying one of these alternatives. But even that, so the TMS, supposedly they can target certain spots in the brain, but that's all kind of trial and error. The electroconvulsive therapy, they just run the electricity in your head. You're Frankenstein, or you're Frankenstein's bride. Yeah. Or even the ketamine, it goes in your whole brain. And we don't really know how these things work. And the theory about most of these is, here, let me take your 80 billion brain cells, put them in a jar and shake them up, and let's see what happens. And sometimes you shake them up and, like a frontal lobotomy, let me just stick a hot poker in the front of your brain, and your mental illness goes away, but now you have an IQ of 52.
Well, your cortisol is down, though.
Yeah, your cortisol's down. You don't care about anything. You don't know about anything. You don't care about anything. But think about it. Mental health, things like aging. We have some things that we think stop plaques, the forming of these plaques in the brain, which we've discussed in the past. And now Eli Lilly, I think, is bringing a new drug to the marketplace. So their website and their advertisement is to tell you about amyloid plaques. And the website is, amyloidplaques.com, right? And it's a great commercial because it's very creative. I don't think the FDA oversees these kinds of commercials, but it shows some groceries and some other things kind of balanced, and you hear the narrator say, "Can't find your keys?" Well, most of the time we think that's no big deal, but it could be the sign of early aging. And now you're scared shitless because you don't know where your keys are. You haven't known where they are for 3 days.
Right. And you lose sleep over it.
Yeah. So what they're doing is trying to create, right? You lose.
Yeah.
So they're trying to create a marketplace. Anybody who can't find their keys, you better maybe take our drug. Now, if their drug has no side effects, which is impossible, but if they had no adverse effects, only benefits, then we should all start taking them. I mean, theoretically, these drugs that slow down the progression of the forming of these plaques, slow down the aging of the brain. If they had no adverse effects, why don't we all start taking them when we're 40? And now they're saying that they can measure certain proteins in your brain 20 years before you begin to have accelerated aging. And the goal, and maybe that's what this Lilly product is, I haven't looked at it, but almost a prophylactic. If you have a family member who passed away from Alzheimer's, if you have any kinds of difficulties, then, come in. And if they had a screening test that had enough positives, and the problem with these screening tests is false positives and false negatives. And there's no test that's 100% accurate, even the AIDS tests or even the COVID test. They never told you that. Because if you tested positive for COVID, they say, oh, you have COVID. They never bothered to say, the test is wrong 10% of the time. You should probably take it again, see if it's wrong again. And they didn't do that. They just said, test positive, stay home. Okay. So think about aging. We really don't know how to slow these things down. Even this gentleman that you've mentioned before, who's taking his hundreds of millions of dollars that he's made.
Oh, Brian Johnson.
And is on a quest to stay young.
He's a weird duck.
It's going to fail. Well, because as a species, we're built with planned obsolescence. You're supposed to reach maturity, have your offspring, raise them long enough for them to be independent, and then get out of the way and die. And that's what most species do.
Instead, he did the opposite, and he just had this. Once he sold, I think he was the founder of Venmo and sold Venmo for a terrible, large amount of money, and that's his whole thing. But he got rid of his family.
Oh,
and now he just
because
lives.
that was.
Yeah,
his family was cortisol high.
Right, that's right.
Right.
So he left his wife and kids, and I think now he only has like a relationship with his son, who is now following in his footsteps. But they have
his AI robot. What's the robot's name that Musk has? He's named that robot.
Optimus.
He I saw that robot the other day, just as an aside, at DC. But it has like a mask over its face. Almost looks like that Japanese television show, Squidworm or Worm Squid. What's the name of that show?
Squid Game.
Squid Game.
Yeah, the
they look like people in Squid Game, which I thought was interesting. Why he did that?
It'd be a little creepy to have that guy walking around your house, a little robot.
But they're going to have to give him a better face. and Optimus just is not. It's not the right Joey. Hey Joey, do the dishes, mop the floor.
Joey.
And then come and see me when you're done. We're going to play poker.
How you doing?
Yeah. So I mean,
give him a little
accent.
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
Instead of my name is hey, how you doing? Hey, I'm Joey. But they
just busting your balls.
They're gonna have to give him a normal voice at some point. But so aging, mental illness. Here we have a physical issue, sleep, right? Entertainment. We really can't explain, as we've done on a previous podcast, how we understand how it evolved, but we don't really understand why it continues, and how it's a train that's lost control, like that Silver Bullet movie, or the more recent. The Silver Bullet was the old one with Gene Wilder, right?
Yep.
But the newer one, the one where it was a secret agent and he's in Japan, and the bullet train, it won't stop. It was one of my favorite movies because he plays such a benign character. Why am I blocking his name? Well, what's the actor's name who was in that train movie? Who was in Japan?
Was that a Jackie Chan film?
No.
Or I can't.
No, he's on the. He wears a kind of a funny looking hat, and he was married to a famous actress.
I'm too old. I can only remember Silver Streak with
Silver
Gene
Streak.
Wilder and.
This was a train movie that recently took place on a high-speed train with spies that crashes in the end.
Oh, with all the fights took place on. Yeah. It was
very
2
offbeat.
hours of fighting on the train.
Yeah, offbeat. It was a very offbeat kind of movie.
I did see that, and I can't think of the name.
Yeah, and in the end, the train wrecks and everything's crashed, and he survives.
Magically
and
survived.
The agent who's his handler drives up in a car, and they drive away, and everybody's dead, and everyone dies. The Shogun, the leader, and all of them die. But think about it, how much we don't know when the brain is so important. I would argue we know more about the liver or the heart or the lungs And maybe because the brain is so
complex.
complicated, and maybe because the brain has a mind. We've discussed this. Our other organs don't have minds. They don't think, per se. And maybe because it operates in a different way than the other organs operate, but which is a fascinating question of how organic matter can become lucid and have a life. Did you find it?
Runaway Train?
Is it Runaway Train? Who's in it?
John Voight,
No.
Eric Roberts.
No.
There's Unstoppable.
No.
With, Denzel Washington.
This is only about 5 years old.
And it's a runaway train?
Yeah, it takes place in Japan on a high-speed train with Yakuza.
That's right.
Naturally.
And they have this chemical that when they spray it in your face melts.
Naturally.
Yeah.
I can't remember. I only saw it a couple of years ago. I can't remember. I
Bullet
need more
Train.
sleep.
Is it Bullet Train?
Bullet Train.
Who's in it?
Let's see here.
There you go.
Yeah, there it is.
Brad Pitt?
Brad Pitt.
Oh, yeah.
He's so good in it. He plays the Jewish word is nebbish, and that's why he lives.
I would argue
There's
he's
two
good
other
in
guys
anything he
who are
does.
assassins,
Yeah.
who both in the end get killed. That's a pretty good movie. That's a good one. But when you think about it, again, how little we know. And so look at the advice they give you if you have trouble sleeping. Take a warm bath. Drink a hot glass of milk, a warm glass of milk. Don't look at screens.
Count sheep.
Count sheep. They never say have sex. No, they never say that. Have sex before sleep and you'll sleep better. That's been my experience. I don't know about yours.
Now, the sexpert may say that when we invite her.
But it's such an important thing, and we know so little about it. So,
What about medications and supplements, like melatonin or
Ambien? Melatonin, I'm not sure they really know how it works. But so melatonin is just kind of it may facilitate your sleep some. Ambien is a hypnotic. The newer drugs are not as hypnotic. Ambien is not recommended to take more than a couple of weeks and stop, even though people keep taking it at much higher doses.
My mom had trouble sleeping, and she would take Ambien, and the next day she was just loopy.
Right. But
So
the newer
loopy.
ones like Lunesta, and I should qualify here, I'm not a physician. None of you guys are physicians. We're not offering medical advice.
No.
But Lunesta is less hypnotic, so you wake better. I will say that when I travel, if I cross 2 time zones, I will take a Lunesta because I'm either, particularly when I travel where it's not later but earlier, and I'm not ready to go to sleep. And I find I might do that a day or two to re-regulate my sleep. When I travel in the other direction to where it's later, I just go to sleep. I tend to wake up earlier in the morning, but
Sure.
so that's where we are. If you have trouble sleeping, I guess read a book. Read a really boring book, War and Peace.
That is what I do to this day.
And it kind of puts you to sleep. And I read a book sometimes to get to sleep, but I read it on my reader. So the book is putting me to sleep, but the blue light is keeping me awake. And they cancel each other out. And,
Our modern world.
so there we go.
And exercise, I think if I exercise throughout the day or a good portion or have a good workout, I sleep better that night.
Yeah, and some people actually will have aerobic exercise before they go to sleep, feel like they sleep better. I don't. Again, there's a lot of superstitious advice that floats around, absent any real information about what works, what doesn't work, and why. Because a lot of people smoke pot to go to sleep. Mm-hmm. Some people will have a shot of liquor to go to sleep.
Yeah.
Do they actually sleep better with those substances in their body? They say they do. I don't have any idea. And I'll leave everybody with this. Remember, belief is your most valuable ally. And sometimes when people push truth upon you, stick with your beliefs.
There you go.
And if you believe it, you can achieve it.
There you go.
Wow.
There you go. And we didn't touch on, can you be hypnotized to sleep? Because the hypnotist would say yes. But again, there's lack of empirical data. And sleep is so influenced, the last thing we'll say, is by what you think. So that's the other variable that can't be controlled. I think we've talked about this before. There's studies in which one person in this group of 6 is this person being studied. The other 5 are part of the experiment. And they're told that they're given a sedative that's supposed to help them go to sleep. The other 5 really are given a nothing pill. They lay down and within a few minutes pretend they're sleeping. And the one pill who's really in the study has been given Ritalin. And 10 minutes later, he lays down and he goes to sleep. So if you want to sleep better, talk to your mind and don't worry about all the external stuff in the world. Convince yourself, hey, I need to sleep better. I'm going to sleep better. And maybe you'll sleep better. But again, the disclaimer, this is not advice.
We don't give advice.
We don't give advice. Thank you again. See you soon.
Thank you very much for being with us today, Brainers.
Good night.
Good. I was just going to say.
Good night and God bless.
I beat you.
And sleep well. See you
We'll
guys.
see you next time.
And if you listen to their stories,
Just because we said it doesn't mean it's true. You're on your own.